Hello, my name is Joshua Lopez, and I'm going to inform you on a Mexican-American civil rights activist who very few know about. I'm sure many of you have heard of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whether it be for his famous "I Have a Dream" speech, or his letter from Birmingham jail, or for the sole reason of the leadership for the African-American civil rights movement. Since the majority of us here are Mexican-American, I'm curious to see how many of you know who our civil rights leader was. Hector P. Garcia was a physician, surgeon, veteran, and a civil rights advocate. His path to success is influential to many, as well as all his ambition for gaining civil rights. Now, the other night I was in my government class and my professor asked us the very same question. Do you guys know who the Mexican-American civil rights leader was? And there was dead silence. Someone brave enough answered, Cesar Chavez. My professor went on to explain how Cesar Chavez was a great leader for Mexicans, but it was mainly for farmers. Then he began to tell us of Dr. P. Garcia's accomplishments. After his lecture on Dr. Garcia, I felt embarrassed and ashamed for being Mexican and being completely unaware of all the great things Dr. Garcia had done for our culture and for South Texas. I'm going to inform you of his early life education, his careers, and his accomplishments. Now that I've briefly discussed my interest in Dr. Garcia, I'll go ahead and familiarize you with his life and achievements. Hector P. Garcia was born on January 17, 1914 in Llera, Tamaulipas, Mexico. His parents left in Mexico in 1917 due to the revolutionary chaos and moved to the Mercedes, Texas. Both his parents were school teachers and he was one out of 7 children. His parents were very strict when it came to the education of their children. His father was determined to have all his children become medical doctors. 5 out of 7 children became doctors. When Dr. Garcia and his siblings would come home from school, his father continued teaching them many subjects from history to calculus for hours on end. According to justiceformypeople.org, Hector Garcia was told by an elementary teacher, "No Mexican will ever make an A in my class." Then that was a remark that spurred ambition in civil rights. Many sources claim that he thumbed his way 30 miles to school when he attended junior college in Edinburgh. He attended medical school in Galveston and received his MD from the University of Texas Medical Branch at Galveston in 1940. In 1942, Dr. Garcia joined the United States Army and was made second lieutenant in Company of Infantry and was later transferred to the Medical Corps. While stationed in Europe, he met his wife, Wanda Facios. Dr. Garcia and his family, including his first daughter, moved to Corpus Christi, Texas after the war was over, according to jrank.org. Dr. Garcia and one of his brothers opened a private practice together in Corpus Christi and treated ill patients, even if they didn't have the means to pay. He was then made president of the League of United Latin American Citizens, Corpus Christi chapter. At this time in history, there was a major segregation. After hearing a speech from the local superintendent about how he improved the segregation of the school districts, Dr. Garcia decided to dedicate his life for civil rights. Dr. Garcia and other Mexican-American leaders founded the American GI Forum in 1948. The AGIF was initially founded for those of Mexican-American World War II veterans that were neglected medical services from the United States Department of Veterans Affairs. The AGIF went on to cover more issues such as education, voting rights, and advocating civil rights, which leads to the next service for Mexican Americans. In 1945, a private from Three Rivers named Felix Angoria was killed in the Philippines. 4 years later, his body was returned, but his wife was denied a funeral at the local parlor. Dr. Garcia wrote a letter to Senator Lyndon Johnson and was able to have the private be the first Mexican-American soldier to be buried in Arlington National Cemetery. Dr. Garcia was also asked by the Kennedy Party to help them by creating an organization called Viva Kennedy, where he was given credit for 85% of the Hispanic votes according to utmb.edu. After Kennedy's assassination, He was made an ambassador to the United Nations and was appointed to the United States Commission on Civil Rights. Dr. Hector P. Garcia died on July 26, 1996 from pneumonia and heart failure. In conclusion, Dr. P. Garcia's ambition, accomplishments made a huge impact on the way Hispanics live in the U.S. Now, I know my brief summary of Dr. Garcia's childhood, education, brief careers, achievements, and hardships doesn't even begin to do justice to all of his accomplishments. I sincerely hope you get a glimpse of how far we have come in society. Hopefully, next time you go to a restaurant, you can take a second think about our leader and appreciate what he has done for us.